Hello, everyone. So this week's data number 5. Today, I like to get US government's interest payment for debt data because that is skyrocketing. So I like to get that data and also combine with the revenue data and then see how that increase is actually outrageous or maybe not. I just wanted to get the data and then find out. Okay. So here is the FRED website. FRED is the economical metrics data providing website. It's hosted by FRB, American Central Bank. And this is actually really useful. I have done that seminar before. So if you want to know how to get the data in the detail, check out the past seminar. But here, I like to get the US interest payment data, rest payment, and then search it, and here you go. So all the data, all these metrics data are something to do with the interest rate. What I'm interested in is the federal government, US government's current interest payment, because I heard that this has been increasing a crazy way. So let me just click on it and see. There you go. So after 2020, Q3, Q4 maybe, and start increasing. And then currently, this is actually not the latest. This is the Q2 2023. So it's about April, May, June time. This is kind of insane. It's just, this is interest payment. It's not like a whole debt that US government is paying back. It's actually only the portion that about the interest rate. So it's really increasing. So maybe two reasons, right? Number one is another data here, same thing on the FRED, is about the federal debt. This is the government debt, the total debt, right? So that's increasing after the COVID. Government printed a lot of money. And then after that, it keeps increasing because of the Ukraine war and etc. So that's number one. So the pie of the debt itself is increasing. So interest payment goes up, right? But also interest rate is going up, right? Because of the inflation has been going on the last 2 years or so, because of that, a lot of printing money by the government or FRB. So now the FRB started increasing the interest rate dramatically. It's kind of a crazy level. And so that will definitely contribute to, increase of the interest payment of the government, right? So basically what I wanted to do today is I want to bring in the exploratory and then see they visualize this. Well, just to visualize this chart, there's nothing special about that because you already have the chart right here. What I want to do is that because government's income, which is basically mostly the tax from the people and the corporations and so on, right? So that should be increasing as well. So because the inflation is happening. So I like to see what's the ratio of the interest payment against the all income that government collects. So if that is increasing, let's say maybe 10% of the whole income of the government is being spent on paying interest payment, or maybe 30%, that would be kind of problematic, right? So I like to see calculate that ratio and then visualize that trend of that ratio and then see, is this a historically crazy or just kind of a normal thing, right? So let's answer that question by getting that data. So one data we want is this interest payment data, right? And another data we want is actually when you scroll down here, gross domestic product, and if you click on it, and this will show you all different type of sort of item in the financial statement, if you will. And one of the, so this is interest payment, right? So one, and then if you scroll up, this is the current receipt. This is the total revenue, if you will, of the government. And if you click on it, and we can see the trend, how much of that revenue that of the government is increasing, and it's pretty dramatically increase. This one is increasing as well. A little bit concerned last few quarters and going down, but nonetheless, I like to get these two data and calculate the ratio and then visualize it. Okay, so let's go one by one. So first, let's get the interest payment part. So what we need to do is basically copy this ID. Okay, and then go to the exploratory and then select the cloud apps and then click on the FRED bracket economic data. And here, all you need to do is just copy and paste that ID and then preview the data and then it looks okay. And click the save button. And this is government interest payment. Okay. And then we got this data here. All right. So, and then before we visualize it, I'm going to just change the column name to make it easier to recognize. So this is basically interest payment, right? So I give that name to the column and then go to the chart and then let's see, visualize it, right? So use a line chart, assign date column. This data is actually quarterly. So like I'm going to select the quarterly level to aggregate. And then the y-axis, I assign the interest payment column. Okay, so I'm going to make this one just average, just in case, because this is a quarterly unit data. So like I don't have to change anything, but just in case. Anyway, so this is basically the same data or the same chart that we are looking, just using the exploratory. Okay. And then one thing though, before moving on to the next one, I don't like this like 900 because what is a unit here? Unit is billions of dollars, right? So this one, like 900 is like $900 billion. I'm going to actually change these numbers so that it's going to be calculated. I mean, I can display it as the $1 billion. So what I mean by that is create a calculation. And then here, multiply. This is 1,000, and this is 1 million, and then this is the 1 billion, right? So override existing column, and then basically here it is. So this one can be read as like $5,352,000,000, right? I don't have to give any like notation or anything like that to indicate this in $1 billion. Anyway, and then like I'm gonna move this chart ping to the calculated step. Now we can see like 900B. B means $1 billion. Okay. So the next step is, you remember, like we want to get the revenue data so that we can calculate the ratio of this interest payment. So let's go to the next, here it is. So this data, current receipt, and then I'm going to copy the ID and then do the same thing, basically go in the Cloud Apps and the Fred, and then paste this series ID, preview the data, and then give a name to that data frames, government and revenue. Okay. So now we have two data frames. So this one is about that revenue. So I'm going to change the column name here as well. So this is revenue. Okay. Oh, and then this one too, let's fix that unit, right? So this one is also $1 billion. So like I'm going to change this to $1 billion. I'm going to multiply 1,000, million, billion. Okay. And then override existing column values. There it goes. Okay. So now we have two data frames. Now it's ready to do the calculation. Go back to the interest payment data. Then basically what I like to do is bring another column from this data frame, revenue data frame. Okay. And then so that we're going to, once we have the two columns, then we can do that division calculation, right? So, and then basically we want to match these two data frame by using this date. So 1947 and then 0101, January 1st. And if there's that data in the target data frame, which is the revenue data frame, then it will match the same row. Okay. So from the column header menu and then select the join, and the target data frame is that revenue data frame. Okay. And then the key column is the date of this data frame and the date of that target data frame. And if I preview it, and this is what happened. Okay, so what happened is, for example, this 1947-0101 happened to also exist in the target data frame, and then that value is $43 billion. So like it brings that row. Okay, and then both data frame is a quarterly data unit, so it must be like one, sort of like one row equals one row matching. Another thing is though, is like, I don't really need to get like these extra columns to bring from the target column. So I just wanted to get only this revenue column. So I'm going to click on the select columns link bottom and then select only this revenue. Okay. So only this column from the target data frame, I want to bring in, and then click on OK and then preview. There you go. Looks okay. So like now, if I click on run button, this is what I wanted to get. Basically, like have two columns. One is interest payment, another one is the revenue column. Because once we get these two columns, what I can do is click either way from, any column is fine. I'm going to use the interest payment column head down menu, and then create calculation. And what I want to do is this. So divide by revenue. And this is going to be the ratio of interest payment against the revenue. Okay. And then create, let's say, interest payment ratio or something like that, and click OK. So, okay, there you go. So this is the ratio. So 0.123, meaning this is like a 12.3%. Okay, 12.3% of the revenue is being spent on paying for interest payment. Okay, so for this quarter or something. So what we can do from here, I like to see the trend of this interest payment ratio, so that we can see if this trend is actually, like last couple of quarters going crazy, or maybe we might have had that kind of trend in the past as well, right? So let's go to the chart and then create a new chart, and then select the line chart, and then I'm going to do the quarterly again for the aggregation level. And then y-axis, we want to use that new column that we calculated, interest payment ratio. Okay, there you go. So here, this is kind of the most recent, which is basically the last quarter, the Q2 of 2023. And now, this government is basically spending almost like a 20% of the entire revenue being spent on the interest payment. Okay, which is kind of crazy, but that's what it is. It's been dramatically increased compared to almost like in the last 20 years. However, as you can see, we had that kind of crazy time in the 70s and 80s. These are the era that was known for like super high inflation. And then the FRB, the American Central Bank, was increasing the interest payment to super high level, way higher than what we have today. So let's take a look at it here. I think we had somewhere we are just looking at, right? Oh, here it is. So we used to have this interest payment to be like 70s and 80s. So this is the current level. And then, but at 70 to 80s, we had way higher, like a 10%, 15%, 20%. So one can think that we might be getting into that era of that 70s and 80s, which is kind of like a crazy. But because when I'm looking at here, this is like what happened in the 70s, a huge increase for the interest payment ratio against the revenue, which is kind of like the same way here we have that. And then maybe like are we expecting this big mountain from now on? We don't know. The point is interest payment is increasing, and then the ratio also is been increasing compared to the last 20 years. But we had similar pattern before, and then we might have that again. Mark Twain or somebody said like history, it doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. We'll see. So that's it for today's data. Let me just do one promotion here. We are planning to do a data science booster training this November 13th to 17th. This is going to be a 10 hours training each day, like 5 days, each of the 5 days. We're going to have a 2-hour session. This is going to be done online. Each day, we start from data basic to data visualization and the data wrangling, which is basically cleaning up the data, transforming the data kind of stuff, because that's really the key to do any visualization or analysis. And then from the third day, we're going to move on to more like actual data analysis, and then provide you some like exercise materials so that you can, after the training, you practice what you have learned. And for the detailed information, you can go to our website and then under the Learn and go to the training seminar link. And then like you can find the training box here and click on that. And that's the detailed information right there. Here. And then if you happen to be the student, you will get the 50% discount. Click on this link and then apply for it. Okay, that's it. So today's this week's data, we actually took in the interest payment data and combined with, join with the revenue data, and then calculate and then visualize quickly with Exploratory. All right, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.